You think you know birds, you know the cardinal, the chickadee, the crow, maybe the great blue heron if you've been near water, you know birds. Except you don't. Not really, because existing right now, on the same planet, in the same year you're watching this video, there are birds so strange, so specific, so genuinely difficult to believe that most people, when they see them for the first time, assume they've been altered somehow, edited, made up. They haven't been. These are real birds, living birds, birds that are alive today, somewhere on this planet. And by the time this video ends, your definition of what a bird can be will be permanently different. 15 birds, every single one is real. Number 9 will stop you completely. Welcome back. Subscribe before this ends. Today we are going through 15 of the strangest, rarest, most visually extraordinary birds on Earth, with the science of why each one became what it is. Because each of these birds isn't strange by accident. Every feature that seems impossible has a reason, and the reason is always more interesting than the feature itself. Let's begin. The Shoebill Stork, the bird that looks like a dinosaur. The Shoebill Stork stands up to 5 feet tall. It weighs up to 15 pounds, and its bill, wide, hook-tipped, enormous, is shaped exactly like a Dutch wooden shoe. It stands motionless in shallow water in Central African swamps for hours at a time, completely still, not resting, hunting. When prey moves beneath the surface, the shoebill explodes forward, launching its entire body at the water and closes its bill around whatever is below. It eats lungfish, baby crocodiles, monitor lizards, anything up to about 3 feet long that moves through its territory. When you encounter a shoebill, it stares at you, directly, without apparent fear, with an expression that experienced ornithologists have described as prehistoric. It has been described this way because it is accurate. The shoebill's lineage predates most modern bird families. It looks like a dinosaur because in the relevant sense, it almost is. The Kakapo, the flightless parrot that smells like flowers. The Kakapo is the world's heaviest parrot. It weighs up to 9 pounds. It cannot fly. It is also one of the longest-lived birds on Earth. Individuals have been documented living past 90 years. It is nocturnal. It moves through its forest territory on foot, along paths it has used so consistently that they've become worn tracks through the vegetation. It smells, strongly distinctively, of flowers and honey, and it is almost extinct. As of the most recent count, fewer than 250 individuals exist in the world, all on closely managed islands off the coast of New Zealand. The Kakapo evolved in a place with no mammalian predators. It had no reason to fly, no reason to be fast, no reason to be cryptic. It became large and slow and fragrant and long-lived in a world where those qualities were sustainable. And then humans arrived with rats and stoats and cats. The entire wild population was nearly gone by the late 20th century. An intensive conservation program, individual birds all named, their movements tracked, their reproduction managed, has brought the number from approximately 50 to its current level. Each of those 250 birds is irreplaceable. Each of their names is known. The Hoatzin, the bird with clawed wings. The Hoatzin of the Amazon basin is in its juvenile form the only bird alive today with functional claws on its wings. The chicks use these claws to climb through vegetation near the nest. When threatened, they drop into the water below. They are strong swimmers and use the wing claws to pull themselves back up when the threat has passed. This is a feature shared by Archaeopteryx, one of the earliest known birds, from 150 million years ago. The Hoatzin is also the only bird with a digestive system more similar to a cow's than to most birds. It ferments the leaves it eats in a large crop, using bacteria to break down the cellulose. This gives it a distinctive smell that has earned it the local nickname stinkbird. A bird with dinosaur wing claws and cow digestion, living in the Amazon today. The ones that change the question bird Heathschiff for. The magnificent Frigatebird, the male has a bright red throat pouch, a gular sac that it inflates to the size of a balloon during courtship. Not slightly enlarged, fully inflated, It is roughly the size of the bird's entire body. It holds this inflation for up to 20 minutes while calling. Bird 5. The Satanic Nightjar discovered in 2000 on the Indonesian island of Lombok. Named for the distinctive marking on its wings. Rarely photographed. Studied at very close range by only a handful of researchers. Bird 6. The Long-Wattled Umbrellabird, a large black bird of South American cloud forests with an inflatable wattle, a long, pendulous flap of feathered skin hanging from the throat. When fully extended during display, this wattle can reach the length of the bird's body. Bird 7. The superb lyrebird can perfectly replicate any sound it hears. Chainsaws, camera shutters, car alarms, the calls of dozens of other species, and incorporate them into its song. It is not mimicking in the way a parrot repeats. It is constructing complex acoustic compositions from recorded sounds, using them for territorial display. Bird 8. The blue-footed booby. Its feet are genuinely, intensely Caribbean blue. The brightness of the blue is directly tied to the quality of the fish in its diet. A direct, honest signal of health and foraging ability. Females select mates based on foot color. Males display by lifting their feet, one at a time, in an elaborate shuffle. Bird 9. The Harpy Eagle. This is the one. The Harpy Eagle of Central and South American rainforests is the largest raptor in the Americas. It has a wingspan of up to 7 feet and talons, rear talons, that are larger than the claws of a grizzly bear. It hunts monkeys and sloths through dense forest canopy, not from above swooping down onto open ground, through trees, at speed, maneuvering around branches at 50 miles per hour. When you see a photograph of a Harpy Eagle face, the facial disc, the expression, the intensity, you understand immediately why indigenous peoples throughout its range have attributed to it significance beyond the biological. It looks, with no distortion, as if it is thinking about you. The last 5. Bird 10. Wilson's bird of paradise has a turquoise blue skin on the top of its head. Not feathers, bare skin, that is so intensely colored it is visible from a distance in the dim light of the rainforest floor. Bird 11. The Malagasy kingfisher, found only in Madagascar. A small, ordinary-looking kingfisher that happens to exist on an island where 90% of wildlife exists nowhere else on Earth. Its ordinariness is in context extraordinary. Bird 12. The Resplendent Quetzal, sacred to the Maya and Aztec. Still considered a symbol of freedom across Central America. The bird dies in captivity. Its tail feathers, in breeding males, extend up to 3 feet beyond the body. It was considered more valuable than gold. Bird 13. The Potoo, a nocturnal bird of Central and South America that during the day perches on a broken branch stub and sits motionless with its eyes closed and its head tilted back, perfectly mimicking the texture and color of the wood. It is, by any objective measure, impossible to see. It opens its eyes, large, golden, slightly haunting, only at night. Bird 14. The greater Sage-Grouse, North America's largest grouse. The male inflates 2 yellow air sacs on its chest and produces a sound, a deep, resonant bubbling, that carries for miles across the sagebrush landscape of the American West. The display arenas, called leks, have been used by the same species on the same ground for thousands of years. Bird 15. The wandering albatross, the largest wingspan of any living bird, up to 11 feet, tip to tip. It spends most of its life at sea, flying. Not because it must, because it can. It uses dynamic soaring, a technique of riding wind gradients above ocean waves, to travel thousands of miles while barely moving its wings. A wandering albatross banded as a breeding adult in the 1950s was still breeding on the same island in the 2000s. 50 years, still returning to the same island, still flying, it mates for life. It can live past 70 years. It raises 1 chick every 2 years, 50 years of ocean. 11-foot wingspan, 1 island, 1 mate. That is what a bird can be. The chickadee at your feeder this morning. The cardinal in the holly bush. The crow on the telephone wire. They are part of the same family as a bird with grizzly bear talons that hunts monkeys through rainforest at speed. They are relatives, distant but genuine, of an animal that flies across entire oceans without landing. The ordinary bird is not ordinary. It has just been around long enough that we stopped seeing it. Tomorrow morning, look at whatever bird shows up at your feeder. Really look, because what you're seeing is the result of 150 million years of evolution, compressed into a body small enough to sit in your hand. It is not small, it just looks that way. Drop a comment which bird on this list stopped you the most. I read everyone. Subscribe, new video every 2-3 days. See you in the next one.